Hi, I'm Rob from the Bobsphere, and this is my top 11 of books of 2020. Now, these were all published in 2020, and the reason why I chose 11 is, well, because I had difficulty making up my mind on a couple. Now, oh, it's Pumpkin. She's a little bit vocal today. Also, she may jump up on the top of the bookcase, so you may see a cat fly up there. Anyway, now, the one I regret not including is The Liar's Dictionary by Ellie Williams. Now, let's start from 11 to number 1. Number 11, Bluster by Raven Leilani. This is a book about an Afro-American who does not like her job. She cannot hold a stable relationship. One day, she meets a man who's in an open marriage, and his name is Eric, and he invites her over to his house, and she ends up living there with his wife and adopted child. Now, the style is very snappy, it's witty, it's funny. If you like Ottessa Moshfegh or Melissa Broder, it's along those lines. Really good. Well, they're all really good. These are all 10 out of 10 books. Now, Hamnet, I thought this book was awesome. This is about grief, about Shakespeare's son who lost his life to the plague, but it's from his mother's point of view, how a mother expresses grief. It will tug at the heartstrings. You'll need some tissues to cry into, dab your eyes. Yeah. And the chapter about the plague spreading to Europe is worth the price of the book alone. That's Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. Next, The Bitch by Pilar Quintana and translated by Lisa Dillman. Oh, now motherhood features a lot, even in Hamnet. Motherhood featured a lot in my reading this year. Don't ask me why. It was strange, because that's never happened before. So most of these books are about motherhood. Ah, there you go. You see? Pumpkin. Yeah. So now I've got someone who's going to be watching over my shoulder. So, this is about a woman who cannot have children, so she decides to transfer all of her motherly feelings to a puppy which she buys. But as the puppy grows older, she starts having babies, and this becomes a sort of war between person and dog. It's exciting. One of the few books that I liked on this year's Disappointing Booker. This is Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi. Again, it's another book about motherhood. But what happens if that daughter was not treated very well by her mother? Does she still love her? And if that mother is suffering from Alzheimer's, do you still love her? Who knows? The book asks that question. It's about the narrator's relationship with her mother, obviously, but with other people as well. And then you get her perspective of a mother, and that sort of softens her view of her own mother. Okay, that's a little bit confusing. Just read it, it's brilliant. It should have won the Booker. Sayaka Murata, Earthlings, translated by Ginny Tapley Takamori. I like Sayaka Murata. She really knows how to talk about outsiders and weirdos. This is one of them. It's about a girl who thinks she's a wizard or magician to be honest, and she befriends a guy who thinks he's an alien. And she also has a pet hedgehog, and she thinks that's her connection between Earth and outer space. Now, really, the tale is about abuse. If you've seen Mysterious Skin, there's a character that's very similar to the main one here, and he goes through the same type of abuse. But anyway, it's about abuse and how it can affect people psychologically, but there's the ending. And all I will say is, do not eat while reading it. Trust me. Now, Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor and translated by Sophie Hughes. So that means there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is book 6, I think. Yeah, book 6, because my maths isn't that good. Book 6. Oh my god, this is about a woman who's known as the witch. She is murdered and found in a ditch. That sort of rhymes. Then we trace the we trace her life and how the murder came into being. And then what you get is really a portrait of small town mentality. There's machismo, there is racism, there's superstition. It's shocking, but you won't leave your seat while reading this. Sorry. Number 5, The Mermaid of Black Conch. What's happening today? My pronunciation is getting really weird, and I'm stuttering a bit too. I don't know. I love mermaids, especially in literature, so this had to be in the list. Now, it's not only about that, obviously. It's about a fisherman who finds a mermaid and falls in love with her, and when she's caught by these American fishermen, he decides to steal her and adopt her. But that's kind of the outer story. If you look deeper, it's about racism, mythology, love. For its brevity, it's quite a powerful novel. Highly, highly recommended. What a book. Number 4, The Gospel of Eve by Rachel Mann. I am a huge fan of Donna Tartt and Iris Murdoch, and Rachel Mann follows their footsteps. That means she mixes the sacred and profane. This is about a priestess, a person who's going to be one, and during the 90s, and she she discovers a group of other seminarians who have sinister plans. I don't want to give too much away, because I really would love you to read this and watch how this unfolds. Now, you don't have to know religion to appreciate this. It's a thrilling story, and it's beautifully written. Highly, highly recommended. The funniest book of 2020, or of my lifetime, let's put it that way, The Naculians by Craig Jordan Baker. Oh my God, I couldn't stop laughing. It's a very serious book, though. It tackles very serious topics. It's about an intergenerational family, of a working class family. And you get a portrait of each of the characters and how they developed in time. But it's also social commentary. And like I said, it is very, very funny. Even though we're talking about racism and attitudes, you'll bust a gut. Yeah. The Naculians. He's the only male on the list as well. Winter in Sokcho by Eliza Shun Dusapin, translated by Aniza Abbas Higgins. Sokcho is a tourist resort in South Korea, but it's on the border with North Korea. So there's a little bit of tension. Now what happens is a cartoon, and this is off-peak, the story takes place in off-peak season. So a tourist comes, he's a cartoonist, he's French, he goes into this guest house, and suddenly he changes, but very subtly, the life of all the people there, especially the daughter of the person who's running the guest house. That's all I'll say. It's a quiet novel, it's a subtle novel, but it's a very, very powerful one. It'll knock you out. And number 1, I don't think it's a surprise, it's The First Woman by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi. I've said a lot about this book now, so I'm not going to go into that much detail. It's about a person from an Ugandan tribe who has one mission, and that's to find her mother. But on the way, I wouldn't say becomes a feminist, she's taught about feminism and how to be a strong person, which happens in this search. But there's much, 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 much more. It's beautifully written. There's mythology. There's strange bits. There's awesome bits. It's a coming-of-age tale. It's everything. And the writing, oh my goodness, the writing. Definitely deserves to be number 1. So, that's my top 11. Did you really read any of these books? Do you want to read any of these books? Tomorrow, or maybe in 2 days' time, I have a new video coming out, and that will be my top 10 books of non-2020 publications. Because this year I made an effort to finish at least a quarter of my TBR, and I managed. And I read a lot of non-2020 non-2020 books. And then maybe next Saturday there'll be my top 10 albums. Okay, so subscribe, like, and thanks a lot.